When you're about to commit on a $40,000 car, you want to know as much about it as possible. So you're probably watching YouTube videos about it. You're watching other people taking tours about the car. A VSL is someone that just took all that information and put it together in one 30-minute presentation.
What are some of the common mistakes that you see people trying to do it themselves, and you're looking at it and they're like, VSLs aren't working?
Then we started out converting the ones that we thought were going to do great through data. It's all about data.
All right, Chris Encarnacion, man, my friend, welcome to the podcast today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor.
I'm excited to chat to you because there's some secret weapons that people can use in their marketing that have never heard of a VSL. But before we get into all of that and the 7-8 figures that they could possibly make from this, what's something interesting about yourself that not many people know?
I'm a pretty good singer, pretty good piano player. Led worship at my church for over a decade. So every Sunday, you could come and watch this boy just Jesus, kind of.
I love that, man. I love that. We got something in common. I remember you and I talked about that. I think in like San Diego, we were both into music. We both have music backgrounds. So I'm still waiting. We should do a bit of like a duet type of collab or something one day.
Oh, that'd be so fun, dude. Oh, man. What? That'd be amazing.
Besides that, which everyone can now look forward to as far as something in the future to look back on, Chris and Joey, let's get people excited about today's episode, okay? We're talking VSLs, which is, video sales letters, but let's put a number to this, okay? I want you to brag and boast a little bit. How much potential revenue have you added to your clients' pockets in gross revenue, just ballpark it, by making these VSLs for all your clients?
Oh, gosh. Well, we passed 700 million like in 2021, and I kind of stopped counting, and I think this year we probably added 100 million just to one client. I think we're scratching the billy. Maybe we've passed the billy. At this point. I think we have. I just haven't calculated, but quite a bit of quite a bit up to 100 million for the year for their supplement offers. So it's been pretty cool.
Yeah, so, and that number is, that's huge. That's exciting. And for those people who haven't, and listen, what's strange is people still haven't really uncovered the full potential of VSLs. So I really wanted to get you on to hear, like the podcast typically talks to influencer managers, affiliate managers, but people who have any kind of product or company they're looking to monetize more through partnership channels, but also conversion metrics and how to improve and optimize their marketing. So I really wanted to dive deep on what's working on VSLs, what's your formula, and then, of course, how can people start to work with you if you're looking for new potential clients? So I want to talk a little bit of backstory because you are at like all the main events. You're at like Platinum. You're at all these places that all the A-list celebrity direct response marketers hang out. And you're like the go-to guy. So I know there are a lot of people out there that are kind of doing the VSL thing, but I really thought that you'd be the expert in this to bring on the show and to unpack all that formula. So how did you get started in the industry from like singing in church to now you're doing these like multi 9-figure production VSLs for clients?
Yeah. So, I was in church and, I would probably play 4 or 5 services on Sundays. Thankfully, I went to churches that, they honored those that were committed to the band and would give themselves to be ready for worship. And it's a little bit of a full-time job. So I had a small little, salary with doing that, all the 4 services. So I'd make a living off of being at church, doing what I was doing for church. And then on the side, I would create demos and production, engineering, for a lot of local bands. Some of them were signed Sony, Universal. So I've got placements in stuff that's even been nominated for Billboard Awards and for Latin Grammys. And then the extra little nugget was real estate. So I was in Central Florida. Real estate was really fire hot, 2005, 6, and that's kind of how I made my income, was through those 3 sources. And when 2008 hit, I took a big hit. I owned a condo in Daytona Beach. I had a few little pieces of land. Ended up selling some of that stuff. I couldn't have it anymore. And I just took a huge hit, and I went from closing 5-6 deals a month. You know, that's pretty good. Usually the average payout was anywhere from $4,000 to $6,000 per deal to nothing, like doing loan mods for $700, and that was like a 3-week process. So it's just I crashed, right? And then the thing was, is because I went to church, a lot of my clients came from church. They trusted me. They saw me up there. I gave them great deals, but a lot of them, you know, some of them, you know, they just, you know, they kind of crapped out as well. So they kind of looked at me like I had nothing to do with it. It's not me, it's the market. But I just realized I wanted to shift. I didn't want to be there anymore. So I went to this little family get together at Golden Corral. I run into my cousin Henry, actually, he was a programmer, and he was recruited by a DR company from Austin, Texas. So when I ran into him, I was like, "What's up, buddy?" He goes, "Dude, you got to come over to my house tomorrow. I got to show you what we're doing with the internet. You're going to be blown away." I'm like, "Okay, cool." I show up, and then he shows me, he shows me a campaign that they launched. They did about, I think it was like $1 million in a month. And he showed me an account with over 300 grand. And it was just, I was shocked. I didn't think you could ever make that much money ever like that or that quickly. I thought that's something you see when you retire, right? Once you deposit into your 401k or your Roth IRA.
Yeah.
At that moment, I was like, dude, I'm looking for a change. Like, I just took a huge hit. I don't want to go back into real estate. And I love music. My passion and vision is music. So I figured that getting into that would teach me marketing, teach me how to market my music online. So that was really the whole field for me to get into marketing. So at that moment, you know, I'm still singing at church, making my small income. And so I just slept on the couch and watched him work, and asked him, "Hey, what do I got to learn?" And he gave me Armin Morin courses, Mike Fosame courses. I got into Frank Kern. I started reading about I went through other courses from Europe that he had showed me. And finally I started Armin Morin. I think I said that already. I'm not sure. At that point, I kind of had an understanding. 3-4 months went by, and I was like, "Hey man, I'm kind of ready let's launch something." He goes, "Well, if you want to take this serious, we got to move back to Austin. That's where I have all my connections." And I'm like, "All right, let's go." So we road tripped it. That's it. My birthday was October 5th. By October 7th, I was moving into my apartment in Austin, Texas. And the same day I got there, I had a meeting with Eric Riviere, who's OG in the industry, multi-millionaire, right? And he opened up his whole black book, his whole community to me, introduced me to everyone. I started becoming friends with a lot of people. I started working with a lot of people. Everyone around me is a business owner online. So they started getting into projects. And at the time, all I really had was music. But what me and my cousin were able to do, we ended up launching like 2 or 3 businesses alongside Eric Riviere on his email list. And we made a little bit of money, not too much. I mean, it was kind of funny. We were a little upset. The first launch we did 16,000. We got so upset. We're like, "Oh my God, we suck at this. We're not millionaires. Oh, this isn't for us." And then we repackaged it, launched it again. I think probably did another 16 to 18. And we're just like, off of one email with like, and we're just like, "Oh, we're horrible. We're not millionaires. We suck at this. I should go back to real estate." But that real estate, when I'm used to doing 5 deals at 6,000, compared to and there's 2 guys, we have to split that, or 3 guys, right? So then what ended up happening was, amongst the other group of friends, there was Dan, who had Sex God Method. He had a book. They were doing very well. And then he ended up selling. And then so he had a little bit of money to play with. And then there was our friend Kwa, who was his business partner, who had a girlfriend whose brother was buff and showed up, and they all kind of grew up together in Houston, and we would all just work out and party and act crazy and pretty much live like the rock star lifestyle, just partying nonstop. Like Jesus wouldn't have been happy. And I went down the dark hole for a little bit, but I came right back out.
Yeah.
My wife saved me. But what ended up happening was we started working out with Mike Chang every single day. Like no cameras, no nothing, just working out with him. And I got into an amazing shape. I actually got 6-pack abs. My cousin Henry got in amazing shape. He got 6-pack abs. Everyone around us was like, "Dude, Mike knows his stuff." And I mean, he showed up in the morning into our apartment, and we had empty bottles everywhere, and we were just like hungover, and he literally was like, he just started pouring all our liquor down the sink, everything. And we're like, Mike, what are you doing? He goes, no, we got to cleanse. You got to get in shape. You can do right. So Mike was actually the advocate of like getting us to all kind of just get a little more serious and stop, acting like we're at a frat,
Yeah, yeah.
But then Dan came in. We were all at Pure Nightclub about to take a shot of tequila, and everyone was like, hey, why don't we all just do something? And I just kind of was like, yeah, I'll do the videos kind of thing. Because I had a little bit of experiencing with editing a little bit, not too much, but like my software was Sony Vegas at the time. So I would use that to just kind of mess around a little bit. So I knew a little bit from church and kind of putting little things together. And everyone was like, are you serious? Are you serious? Are you serious? And that's how it kind of started. So we just started kind of, Dan had a house in Lakeway, but we had our apartment downtown pretty much. So everyone we were like kind of for the beginning, we were the center location. So a lot of the first videos are on the kitchen or in the big M100 video that kind of went a little bit viral for us before viral was even a thing, was shot in the apartment complex of the gym that I had. So we were all just sleep on the couch, work on laptops, kind of shoot a little something, go party, come back, eat. And yeah, and then next thing you know, they started drafting the whole program. They shot it over at Dan's rented house in Lakeway, put it online, launched it. It started showing some legs. Dan, became CEO, and he had a little bit of money and started spending ads, and everyone just started working together and shooting the videos and this and that. And next thing you know, I left to Florida. I had a death in the family, so I left for about 3 or 4 months. When I came back, and now there's a 1-bedroom apartment. That's where I run into Johnson Lee and other people that were there. So the crew turned into 5 people, 1-bedroom apartment. Then we went to a 3-bedroom apartment. Had about, I'd say probably got to like 20 something, mid-20s, because then we started the call center, which had about probably 10 guys on the phones in the living room, while 1 bedroom was for us, the creatives. The other bedroom was for Dan, who's CEO and also main media buyer. And then we had Mike's apartment, who was the set for everything. And we just started shooting everything. And then the company, I think the year it took off, it made $6 million, like with all the, the products and services. And then we added more supplements and then bigger VSLs, and then moved into a 7,000 square foot office with probably, I think, 70 employees. And then, I'd say probably 50-ish, 55, maybe scratching 60. But then we moved into a 70,000 square foot office where we probably scratched probably 130 employees, I'd say. I think the call center alone had probably 70 at that time, and everyone else. And at that moment, the company was very, very valuable. I was there for scratching 10 years. And then they ended up selling. At the peak, my department, starting with me, I was solo operator, producer. I'd shoot everything. I had 5 computers lined up. I, cut YouTube video on one computer, cut ads on the next computer, cut the VSL on the next computer. The next computer, I was even writing blogs, like for our blog, and the next. I mean, we're just so slim that everyone was wearing multiple hats. I still have pay stubs that say 100 hours a week. Yeah, we all just grinded. We all knew this. We had something, we were in our early 20s, and we were having so much fun because we lived together too. We ended up all moving into the Domain, which is like the Galleria, really nice high-end luxury apartments in Austin, where everything's there. You don't have to leave. You've got every shop, Express was downstairs. If I need a new shirt, I just go down, get a shirt, put it on, and we go party or whatever. But we all lived there. So the company had probably 14 apartments, I'd say. So I had an apartment with my family. Dan had an apartment with his significant other. Mike had an apartment. Johnson had an apartment. Henry had an apartment. Like all the premier players had apartments there, which was amazing. And the company covered it because now the company was making enough money. So imagine all of us now there. Companies covering our rent. It was beautiful. It was like, man, this is, like co-living. Yeah. Mike Chang became famous everywhere we would go. You know, they stop them for pictures. We got invited to the Super Bowl where Mike Chang went on a celebrity Super Bowl with Nelly and Terry Crews and all these like expendable actors, and you know, it just felt it was a pretty wild roller coaster. But at the peak, I was managing 13 to 14 editors. We had multiple little studios, kitchen set, green screen studio, living room. We had a contractor, handyman who worked on the premises, and he would build us sets, whatever we needed, or props. So and then we had a great oil team. You know, Johnson then became CMO, main lead copywriter. So I would brainstorm, he would brainstorm, Dan would brainstorm. Kate Asseltine's amazing copywriter as well. She'd brainstorm. We would all be at the table coming up with ideas. And then by next week, boom, here's 20 new spots we were going to go ahead into production with. And we'd have one more meeting, talk about what it needs to look like, and then we go into production. You know, we fly the actors in, point all the cameras, shoot everything, and then go into cutting. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. It showed me the blueprint, the SOP, the process, the systems that needed to be in place. And a lot of that stuff I implemented into my agency. And that's more or less how we run now, essentially, because it worked over there. I mean, you're talking about a company that, you know, had grossed over, you know, $200 million. So yeah. So at that point, it was kind of like, okay, well, let me take this blueprint, and now I've got it on this side, and it's beautiful. So since 2019, wow, now I've been offering that to clients, and it's been a beautiful thing.
Well, yeah, that's an amazing journey. And I want to break apart. I want to try to do a little bit of a beginner, intermediate, and advanced spectrum of questions today to try to get a little tactical for people, but also give them the fundamentals of what this is, because you know, you mentioned an amazing journey, and there's so many terms throughout there that, you know, there might be people like, I have no idea what Chris just mentioned, and I wanted to know, like, what's the basics of this? So let's break down. What is a VSL, first off? Sure. What businesses benefit from this? And maybe what's changed from the beginning to now? I mean, obviously a lot has, but let's just start with, what is a VSL for a business?
So a VSL stands for Video Sales Letter. It's the driving tool, the driving mechanism that turns your prospect into a customer. It's the main video responsible for converting that viewer into a buyer, a purchaser. And it's, to me, it's the most important video in your whole funnel, or the most important video in your whole business, because it is the video that's in charge. Ads sell the click, traffic goes through the click, and then once they land on the lander, the VSL sells the product. And then it converts that viewer into actually becoming a buyer. And then from there, you know, the second most important videos would be then the upsells, because that's extra money you're leaving on the table. And then it goes into everything else. And either you could be selling a product, a course, a system, whatever your purpose, passion is, whatever you want to sell, service. VSLs are here to stay, and VSLs is the driving force that actually makes that happen. The way it started, you know, I don't even think John Benson is the creator of the VSL. I don't know what year he created it, but by 2009, I was already making variations of what a VSL was based on what he had come up with. Pretty much once he launched the VSL, and we all knew, oh, this is a VSL. I actually saw him speak at the IMP party in Austin, Texas. David Gonzalez down there, he throws an amazing party every month where marketers come together. So I went to one of them that John Benson spoke at, and he presented what his VSL was. He gave the whole breakdown. And at that moment, a lot of the businesses that were there and saw the presentation, they just went to the drawing board and started trying to create their own. So in the beginning, the VSL was really just a PowerPoint presentation. It really was just the TSL, which is the copy script of the actual storyline, big reveal what the product is, what the services. It was used to create that conversion, right? The driving mechanism. It was just a presentation, PowerPoint.
Yeah.
White board, black words, red ones to do a little NLP and kind of just, the main words you want to stick out and poke out. So hopefully do a little NLP and just, guide the viewer into that conversion. And that was pretty much it. And even when we started SixPack Shortcuts, that was our VSL as well. I was kind of the one that was like, dude, we've got a 5'9", 225-pound, 6% body fat Asian dude. Why is he not on camera? Like, this guy is shredded to the bone. Like, you'll just have to listen to what he has to talk about if it's about losing weight, because look at the way he looks.
Yeah.
But I remembered, because that wasn't tested and that wasn't tried, and there was a little bit of just hesitation. So on my own time, I just told Mike, I got this idea. I just want to get you on there and maybe put the words around you. Keep it powerful, but just kind of put you on the side or something. Like, I think that could help. And Mike was just like, you know what, let's do it. And dude, we stayed up all night, shot this thing in his living room on a green screen. And then I started cutting it on the weekend. And then I just handed it over. And I was like, Dan, just test this. And then when Dan tested it, it won by 18%.
Wow.
And then Dan was like, all right, from now on, Mike, you're on camera. So,
yeah. Oh,
yeah.
So I want to break down a few things you mentioned, because, like, again, speaking to the people we know in our industry, TSL, VSL, it's like our second language, right?
Really?
So TSL is like text sales letter. So it's like, and I want to reframe this for people who are working maybe just on an e-com brand level. They don't even know affiliate marketing yet. And this is kind of the convincing I'm trying to do with people and listen to the podcast is like, get into affiliate marketing. And here's the ways, if you do, on like the monetization methods you can use beyond just a product description page. So the first step is understand a text sales letter is like these anywhere from 10 to 20 to 30 pages of copy, marketing, and like, you're basically telling a story, and you got to convince somebody to do something hopefully ethical. I do believe in ethical products, and I don't want to endorse anything else. But what Chris is mentioning too is like the entry point for an affiliate could be an ad. That ad going to just a product description page or an Amazon page isn't as effective as the interrupt of the sales page. So a sales page is like, instead of sending to your product description pages, etc., they're kind of like more for customers or people who know, like, and trust you already. They just want to go buy and back. They want to go back and buy more. You need to do convincing. And some people want to read through a TSL. So you should have that, which is, again, a very long, drawn out process to read through. Perfect for desktop, right? And maybe an older demographic. But the people on their phones also, and I'm not saying that it just gets broken down to demographics, but the VSL and the virtual sales letter, video sales letter, is effective for devices too, because we are all consuming content now as video footage, and we want to be entertained. And the evolution of where you said, like, it's went from the old, presentation, blackboard, drawing board type thing to now, what you guys really were doing was like highlighting Mike as an influencer as well. And I think that was like ahead of its time, where now it's like, okay, well, we have influencers everywhere. And I think that it plays a part in, if you have an influencer program, you can also leverage potentially some of those influencers in videos. Kind of what you guys were doing was a little bit different, and I know that you have a different strategy to that. But I think that the one differentiating factor I've been thinking about too is like, what makes a VSL different than just a traditional influencer endorsing it in a story post and saying, go to the website and buy it? Like, what's your opinion on like effectiveness of a VSL versus just a straight up influencer promoting like an Amazon product?
So the power of the VSL is its ability to take a prospect from stage one, where they probably weren't even looking to buy anything. They were just potentially on the internet doing their thing. I don't know, researching something, and maybe they triggered something or researched something, and there's an ad that builds on curiosity and builds on more or less, because they're being targeted. So it's their interest, they're the traffic. So it caught their attention, and they clicked just to see what this is about. And then when they click through just to find out a little more, because it was a little more curiosity, and then once they land on the VSL has the power to connect with them in an emotional level, and to help guide them through storytelling, and help them transition and hook them in, and help them transition into now understanding why potentially they're going through their pain points or whatever the situation may be. And it has a way of revealing other alternatives that could benefit them. And it has a way to build confidence, build trust. It has a way to allow them to understand that there is a better way. And if your product and is that solution, that's how it's a beautiful transition from, you know, being completely cold to now being completely invested and completely interested in your purpose and your product or your service. And the big reveal, now this is our pitch. We're offering this. They're interested. They want to give it a try. And now it gives them an opportunity to buy. I think that's by the end of the VSL, once they've committed and they've purchased, you have someone that knows about your story, knows about your business, becomes a bit of a fan. Now you're communicating with them through emails because now you have their contact or text messages. I mean, whatever it is, this is a more intimate experience and you're speaking to your audience, you're speaking to your customers. When you go the other route, I just don't, I think you could, I mean, you could probably still, I'm sure people are still successful going that route too and they get sales. I just don't know if that hooking effect of emotionally being connected or binding and actually creating like a fan base at that level, because it's almost like if you become friends with them through a VSL and you're speaking to them versus just getting a sale and on to the next one.
Interesting. Yeah. So it is, and I agree, it's a power of persuasion and the ability to attract them without them feeling like they're being sold on anything initially. And it kind of sounds like, oh, you're baiting and switching, but it's, I always think of it as, if I had to convince somebody to stop smoking, as an example, wouldn't you want to take every route you could possibly take? So some people might just put a patch on a Facebook ad and say, quit smoking with this patch. And it's like, I'm not ready to quit smoking. I'm not going to that, But if you hook them in a different story, and you don't even mention the fact of what you're selling yet, or what exactly, but it's like, it's a lead into a curiosity-based story that it attracts them based on their search, based on who they are, the algorithm, and they're the perfect prospect without you directly shoving the product in their face. And that's what I like about the VSL in a way. And to your point, then you get to build that relationship because you have them hooked, and then you can explain it, and then you can get to know them, and they get to know you. And the beauty of this is that you don't have to constantly, well, there's two sides of this. One, people need to understand that a VSL is the hooking mechanism to acquire a customer. And yeah, they might buy again in 6 months from the same VSL, but I think the likelihood is if you have a good brand and good product and you have a good front of house based on like your e-com side, if you have an e-com store, an Amazon store, is they're going to come back and buy from there as well. They're not going to have to go through the VSL again every time. So I look at it as an extension of your monetization methods, not just the singular one or like the only one, but it's multiple versions of selling to people to allow for new entry points. But I want to now maybe talk a little bit more to the advanced crowd, because like you said, VSL started like a Microsoft presentation, all those outdated techniques. What's the latest trend that you're noticing, and what are things that like you've stopped doing because they're just not working anymore?
So the latest trends that are working are going full production, having a brand ambassador, someone on camera that's intimately talking to the audience. See, this is the thing. When you're on the phone now, a lot of times you're mostly on FaceTime more than anything. Yeah. I mean, I get on FaceTime with my mother. I get on FaceTime with the people that I love the most. Obviously, not every single person, but the people that I'm more dearest and intimate with and that I love, I FaceTime. When my daughter calls me and I'm traveling, it's FaceTime. When my wife calls me, it's right? So imagine now you have a presenter on camera, talking head, talking, and they're watching this on their phone now. So it's almost like they're having a FaceTime conversation with the person on camera, the doctor or the whoever is your brand ambassador. And now they're listening, they're watching him tell the story, hearing the story, and now they're watching almost like those TV shows where you have other actors interact or react certain things that are being said on the story. It happens a lot in a lot of those like law style shows or Snapped, right, where someone was murdered and then they kind of there's talking heads behind a black background just talking about what happened, and then they have actors relive it, right? So you get actors to react and relive that. You craft out the perfect scenes to go with the story and help tell the story. You have then the brand ambassador tell the story in a, talking to one person. We're not trying to, this is the one thing too, when you make a VSL, what a lot of times what doesn't work is when someone's talking to a broad audience, right? We have to talk to one avatar, one person. And once we do that and we carve out and craft the video to talk to that one person, tell the story, have the B-roll with the other actors, interact it all, in very high production, 2-camera setup, almost kind of Dr. Gundry style, high production, the big reveal, have, people using it, loving it, talking about it. I mean, have real testimonials. I mean, that's the thing too. Like if you go into VSL, I would say, have already people that use your product, right? We're talking about that love your product, use your product, ask them questions. What was your experience? What do you like about it? What don't you like about it? Did your mom try? Just all this you could craft into the VSL. You could get inspired by her story and ask her, do you want to be on camera? And if she says yes, great. Have her be the lead into your VSL. It's a true, honest, genuine person talking about how much they love this thing. And then potentially maybe have a credibility build up to then with a voiceover to then present who's the person that created this wonderful thing that's changed this woman's life. And then, so it's like there's so many ways you could structure it and put it together. It all comes down to split testing. Yeah. But what's worked the best is presenter, crafting out custom scenes, and then showing people loving your product and then talking about how amazing it is, and then offering an amazing, 180-day money-back guarantee, and extra bonuses. And then, how they have nothing to worry about, and give it a try, and boom. Usually that's the formula that's worked the best. Granted, when you split test, you might have to whip up different hooks, different variations. But from what I've seen, that's the meat of it. That's the meat of the cake. That blueprint, that whole transition right there. Emotional hook in the beginning to capture the viewer. Transition into credibility section to build up who the presenter is. Presenter comes in, talks about their story, purpose, pain, passion, what motivated them to come up with it. Then they talk about their journey on what they had to do to actually build it and put it together. And then, talk about what happened when you first got it. You gave it to a group of women or a group of men and gave it trials. What were the experiences? Some said this, some said that. Maybe it wasn't ready yet. You had to go back to the drawing board and change up the formula a little bit and give it back again, see what they had to say. Like all that should be a part of the story. You'd be surprised how many clients that come to me and they have a doctor and he's never been on camera, or they have stories like this and they've never been a part of the VSL. I think when you have a viewer that becomes invested in the video, the more they want to know as much information as possible before they fully commit. I look at it like almost like buying a car, right? When you're about to commit on a $40,000 car, you want to know as much about it as possible. So you're probably watching YouTube videos about it. You're watching other people taking tours about the car, going inside the car, outside the car. You're probably looking at blogs, looking at the safety ratings, looking at everything. You're probably surfing the net for hours and hours. A VSL is someone that just took all that information and put it together in one 30-minute presentation with an emotional intro to hook you in and to guide you through it, and then with the close at the end to make you a buyer. So that's all a VSL essentially is. But the most important thing about a VSL is storyline. The ones that do the best have the best storylines. And I'm not saying make up a storyline. I mean, they've vetted the people that used it. Or the person that created it has an amazing story. Almost everybody that has a product, I mean, before they made it, something happened to them that decided them to make this product. Either they got really sick, or the wife got really sick, or something happened. I don't know what it is, or I don't know what motivated you, but put that in your story. Like, build the VSL around that. you
Yeah,
know?
that's a big one, and I think that every good product out there already, like that has a great brand or great presence, should have that vulnerability aspect to them. And if they haven't figured that out, I think that is phase one, is just figure out what your story is and go deep, go for the pain and the passion, and those are the relatable stories. But you said a couple other things too, and I think that they're worthwhile, like kind of looping back to. Customer reviews and testimonials, whether it's that actual person coming back on camera and doing it, or you create a UGC, user-generated concept around that with an influencer that you either hire or have in your Rolodex that can recreate that same story through, an actor representation. But influencers, because it is such a big part of affiliate partnerships and partnerships in general with who I work with, I think that's another thing to leverage, is actual real case studies, real people, and not just hired actors, but actual people that are personable and can actually relay and talk to the person, that the person behind the screen. Like if I'm looking to buy something, I want to see myself in the mirror here. I don't want to see a guy in their 70s, because I'm not going to relate to that person. So you have to really make sure, I think, and I'm not the expert, but I'm just kind of strategizing with you on like who you're picking here is very important to understand who you put in the video, based on your like customer avatar or the person that is your perfect customer, right?
Absolutely. I mean, we did that at SixPack. I remembered where we just surveyed our audience and asked who would be interested in winning. Well, give tell us about your testimonial, send us before and after pictures, and then we'll choose one, fly them down, and just create all this content with them. We made VSL intros with them, ads. A lot of that stuff really, really worked, and it worked great.
So then let's flip the script. You're doing everything right. We already got the formula now. We got the Chris Encarnacion formula for a successful VSL ad. And you broke it down so simply, but obviously there's some nuances to this work and the way that you structure it, the way you're filming, and like the storylines you guys create. What are some of the, I shouldn't say dumb mistakes, what are some of the common mistakes that you see people trying to do it themselves, and you're looking at it and they're like, VSLs aren't working, or, why do you do it better than me, and why isn't mine converting as well as yours? And you can boast a bit here, but you don't have to call anyone out. Just want to know, like, what is your take on that? What are people doing wrong or maybe outdated?
So the thing is this: this is a whole new world. This is a whole new concept. A lot of creators, when they go into wanting to be filmmakers or wanting to create videos, they don't. No, they're not dreaming as a kid, I want to make VSLs. They're dreaming as a kid, I want to become Steven Spielberg. I want to work for Universal Production Studios or Sony and make the next Iron Man, right? So a lot of time, that none of that stuff's really, really tracked, or really, there's no real data behind it. It's just people's opinions of how pretty it looks or how amazing it looks. So a lot of times they're just working on that side of their craft, on just making it as pretty as possible, finding the right camera, the right lens, learning about lighting just to make something that's pretty. And maybe in the editing, just make it nice and kind of jumpy, like a music video, or that's pretty much the base of what a lot of them look for. They don't understand what the word conversion means. They don't understand what DR marketing is. They really, when they think of making an ad, they're looking at just your standard branded ads, that something that Toyota or GNC would make. They don't understand the direct response marketing world at all. So a lot of times you bump heads with them, because when you come with actual data and they come with what they feel is better, feelings isn't data. So I had to learn that early on, when I would make things that I thought were beautiful and I felt are awesome. Once Dan would, put them through the campaign and they would tank, I was crushed. I seriously had now I understand it's part of the game, but in the very beginning, I almost became depressed. Like I was like, oh my God, I would have gone all in Vegas. If someone were to tell me, do you think this is I would have gone all in. Absolutely. And it happened multiple times until eventually I realized, oh, it's not about my feelings. It's about performance. So I had to understand, when I watched the video, I thought it was a good video because it looked really good. But when it didn't win or it didn't convert, it's a bad video. But it still looked really good. But no, it's still a bad video. So And then when, let's say, a PowerPoint video would win, that's considered a good video, but it's a bad video because it's only PowerPoint while this one looks beautiful. Like, it was just breaking that weird, breaking the third dimension of what reality is. The reality is that we need to convert. The reality is that we have to keep the lights on. The company is a business. It has to make money. We're not just trying to make things pretty. We're trying to make things convert. Once we started looking at it at that angle and started looking at the data, started looking at the drop-off rates from the videos and why people are dropping off and what can we think, new things we could think of to help them stick longer, coming up with new hook variations to hook them in, building on curiosity, asking them a question. If you're a man over 40 and you're suffering with this, then you must see this. Already calling out your audience. So once they start, so they keep watching the video, and the ones that don't need to watch it, they can go ahead and skip the ad, right? Or the VSL. So we started realizing once we started making those creatives, we started seeing the needle move and the arrow move, and we started getting more hits and more wins, and we started out converting the ones that we thought were going to do great through data. So because I was able to sit at the table with the media buyers and sit at the table with the copywriters and us have the chart of what ads are running, which one's converting, which one's dropping off, which one we need to have a brainstorm about. I was, for 10 years a part of that process every week. Then, so I've you start seeing a trend or a blueprint almost form where you start seeing what kind of works, what kind of doesn't. And then we start saving a lot of like the greatest hits of all time. So in certain situations or certain scenarios, if we needed a new hook because something was kind of almost there, we go back, well, what were the best hits of all time? Like what hook would translate very well, connect very easily to this? That one would. Okay, well, let's create 3 other variations of that one and see what happens. And then boom, then we would out-convert it. So, I started realizing, it's about data. It's all about data. It doesn't matter how pretty it is or anything. It's all about data. I mean, you could take a script, go PowerPoint, test it, and you can start tweaking even just the opening sentences and get a better opening sentence. And then once you kind of fine tune that script, even better body, better closing, now all just through PowerPoint, you could get data that way and start kind of crafting your scripts and then go into production. Right? We've even split tested presenters. We went, so what I'm saying, what makes me the best is that I understand what we're doing and we're needing to convert. And because I've been a part of baking the cake and making the sauce of what converts so many times I'm 35 and I've been doing this for 15 years. So it's been over a third of my life, kind of just making converting DR videos.
Dude, 15 years in this is like 3 lifetimes. Okay. Perspective, right?
So I started kind of doing the math. I've done over 40,000 hours in this stuff,
What does it take to become a master? Like over 10,000 hours or something like that? So triple certified. But what I like though, I think what you're mentioning too is like not letting your biases get in the way of facts and data. And to me, that's the most important thing, because when you're split testing, I'm shocked sometimes. And I've heard from so many people, they go, why do you guys still run that particular page? It's so ugly. And I'm like, it converts. Like, why do you keep running that same VSL? It converts. We've tried prettier things. We've tried, better looking actors, actresses. It's like this PowerPoint is converting. So I like the idea of understanding that and not letting your ego get in the way. Like, it'd be awesome if you could, update, the coloring, the lighting, the cameras, and maybe that works. But if it doesn't, don't be so egotistical or like prideful that you're like, oh, no, we just got to keep pushing more, better quality. It's not, I don't think it's that direction, right?
And it's a process, and understanding that it's a process. Not every single thing I ever create scales right from the first test. That's not the way that works. It's about like the real work comes in once you're testing it. Like, it's not making it. It's once just testing that's when you really have to get to work. It's because now you have to, when it's not moving, I mean, you got to think about how much money it takes to go into production, to write these scripts, to then have the lights on, have quality cameras on, have everything on. I mean, that day in production could cost you $10,000 just to have cameras, people fly in. I mean, you know what I mean? And then for that to not work, like that can't happen. Like
Yeah.
it has to work.
So
And yeah,
let's break that down, because that was my next question, was if somebody started from scratch, okay, like they want to build a VSL, they're afraid of investing $10,000-$20,000. So there must be a threshold of like client or people you'd recommend saying, you're ready for a VSL, you're not. And
right.
no offense to anybody, it's just like you're at different levels and you understand your marketing better or you don't. But who would you recommend not do a VSL, and who do you recommend is ready for a VSL?
I'd say if you have two people, I say would be ready. One, I've seen stagnant pages that look really, really good, and they drive traffic to that, and that actually converts.
Good.
I've seen that. And when you look at the stagnant page, it looks very medical, looks very nice. There's a wonderful, design, and there's a lot of wonderful bullet points. All the ingredients are laid out. There's already testimonials kind of there, and that page converts. So they're ready. That whole page, there's the breakdown of what the bones of the VSL should be. I would probably inject a little more personality with a storyline. Maybe I get to talk to them and find out a little more. But the meat and the body of the VSL is that page, essentially. The second person is someone that has a TSL who, found a really wonderful, sexy, famous, super duper power copywriter and got them to write them something. And maybe they tested it, who knows, through native, straight to that lander. Maybe they've done some email drops just to get some data, and it's converting and it's working. And now they want to take it to the next level. And they're ready for a VSL because again, that's the bone, that's the structure of what the VSL is going to be, because it already works, it already converts. There are clients that I work with who've done this time and time again, and they're already veterans who kind of skip that process and kind of go straight to let's make this high quality video. But they've been in the kitchen for many, many years and many, many offers, and they already understand their metrics and kind of what's worked in the past. And we usually just go straight into VSL with those. But if you're getting started, do not do that. Like,
yeah,
get the script tested, get some email drops. But even if you get a fancy, sexy, high quality superstar copywriter to write the thing, like, don't just, think, optimize it. Get other people to chief it. Get other people to make other variations, other intro variations, other hook variations. Really get that dialed in before you go into video. And potentially, if you want just to have maybe, if you want, maybe just get a PowerPoint. That's nothing wrong with that. If you're testing, just to test the script, no images, no nothing. Just get a voiceover with just text on screen and see how that performs. Now, we're looking for a home run? No, we're just testing. We're testing the creative, testing the script. Make sure there's legs in the script. Make sure we're not missing something. And if something is missing, now what I like to do is I like to take the scripts, and every sentence I make a block. So I have a chart, two-sided chart, and every sentence I make a block on one side, right? So one side is the whole script, and then the other side is my first impressions of what I in my mind of what I'm seeing as I'm reading that sentence, or potentially if I think there's a better way to rewrite that than what I would rewrite. But those first impressions in your mind, that movie that plays in your head when you're reading that, that's usually what I'm trying to aim for when I go into production.
Yeah. And I mean, so I'm a big fan of horizontal testing and then vertical scaling, right? Like whenever you decide that one hook, that one story. I like the framework idea though. And I was thinking you're going to say you have one column that's like, what does this block represent? Like it's the hook. And I'm sure you've got that built into your system. And I'll say that, one of the quotes that I love the most, it's a book, it's not just a quote, it's Sam Carpenter. And his book's called The Who, Not the How. And in the case of VSL, is like, you are the who. I'm not going to probably deal with this all on my own. For those people out there that either want to work with you directly or just want to get in contact and learn more, what's the best way to do that?
Just email me. Email me at chris@vslads.com.
Okay, man. Well, hopefully we flood you with a bunch of new leads, but Chris is a high in demand dude, and Maybe you'll have to like open up new branches and just this will be a whole new thing for you where you guys are turning out more VSLs.
Yeah, we just rolled out our YouTube department, so we manage YouTube channels. So we'll cook up anywhere from 2 to 5 videos a week for certain clients, and we've got 2 quality retainers right now, and we're having a lot of success with that. And yeah, so it's just we also manage the YouTube channel at SixPack. We built that thing to 6 million subscribers. I mean, it was bound for me to offer that over here too.
Yeah. For those people who don't know, check out SixPack Secrets or Shortcuts. I don't know if it's still the same.
So it was sold and turned into sixpackabs.com.
Okay.
But yeah, it was originally SixPack Shortcuts.
I remember that being like just the rocket ship that everyone was watching. It was like the leader, of the industry at the time.
Yeah, well, because no one did it on YouTube before. We were the first ones to actually pretty much make our YouTube channel our driving force to generate the traffic. Yeah. And then we targeted our own audience, our own subscribers, and then we targeted our competitors, and no one was doing that. So when you would go watch a competitor's video, our video would come in stream before you watch theirs. So we were the ones kind of crafting those blueprints on how to get in front of the audience or other people's audience, and then start accumulating that subscriber audience base, and then targeting them with our ads. And then under every video, we would have then, the link so they could go over to our offer or our lander. And that just, us being the first ones and, having really no competition, just kind of was the recipe for us to become the #1 fitness channel on YouTube for many years. Not anymore, obviously.
No,
but I mean, we held that crown for, I think, 6 years, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. And you guys are still doing an amazing thing with new clients, and kind of you're following the evolutionary trend too, which is what I really appreciate about yourself and everyone else who's leading the industry and new concepts. They're not holding on to old beliefs. It's constantly evolving. So that being said, I want to take you through a quick fire question round. Okay, it's the end of the episode. This is my chance to get to know you, Chris, a little more personally. I want to also provide some value to everyone on a different front. So the podcast, I always ask everyone, what's their partner up profits power move? So think of this as like whether it was you trying to impress your wife or impress a client or get your call answered, your foot in the door, or you get your email answered, or something that was done to you that was like unique. And it could be a talking head video, it could be a video postcard. But is there anything that pops into your mind that you'd like to share with the audience that they could use in their own world to network and get in touch with somebody that was kind of like a untouchable? Or impress somebody, or it could be the girlfriend or the boyfriend here.
Oh man, how do I do this?
But you need to get your wife.
Oh, I sang to her, yeah, and I danced salsa. Yeah. So actually, well, I'll say it like this. So it was my buddy's birthday. I walk up to him just to say happy birthday. He wanted to go salsa dancing. I didn't know why. I walk up and he's dancing with her, but he calls me over. He says, "Hey man, can you take over this dance? Because I got friends showing up for my birthday and I want to go say hi to them." And I just asked him "Oh, is this your girlfriend?" He goes, "No, I just asked her to dance." I'm like, "Oh, okay, so is it cool?" He goes, "Yeah, here, just go dance." And then that was it. We ended up dancing the whole night, salsa, and had some awesome conversations and just exchanged each other's contacts. But we were just friends for a couple months, 2-3 months, until eventually, I asked her on a date and boom, that happened. So, and then I sang. So what started the interest was that I was in the car and someone was like, Chris can sing. And then I ended up singing this really slow, real gentle song. And I could just sense when she was like, "Oh, wow." And I just knew, I'm like, I got her. I just got to pull the trigger and ask her for a date. But, yeah, so I'd say another one is this. It's just doing whatever you can to get into that room. A lot of, I'd say when I first started my business, the first year or two, it was all referral based, right? Just I did a good job for someone, they recommended me to their friend or their whoever it was, and that's how my audience, that's how I was building post SixPack, and then thankfully my reputation from doing what I did at SixPack helped close the deal, but I didn't really get to that next tier until I started getting in the same rooms that a lot of them were, going to the events, getting on calls with decision makers, closing, bigger things, and then doing a great job where then they also, their voices were bigger voices. So then when they gave me referrals, other 2, 3, 4 people would listen. So now at this point, you know, we have a waiting list pretty much to work with us. Yeah, if you're looking for, if you're really serious about your pursuit in this world and you're a beginner, getting into those, not just to close a deal or to talk to people, but just to get a lot of your questions answered. This industry is so amazing when it comes to being an open book and just being willing to help and just open up and share what's working, what's not working. And I believe it's because we're all in it together to win and to help each other out. And no one's really in true competition, because if you have an offer that's crushing it and I'm still in the midst of preparing my other one that's in the kitchen, like there's nothing wrong with me promoting yours to my list until mine's ready and hot so I can start testing. And you know what I mean? So that's why everyone wants to see each other do great, because if you're doing great, then we're all printing money. If I could just promote yours for a little bit and then move over here. And then, so I just feel that if you really want to, the one thing, if you really want to take it to the next level, try to get into these rooms, try to get into these conferences, just go ask questions, move around, go to the meat market, go to, go to the ClickBank road shows, go to the ship offers, events that they're doing, go to the ASWs, the ASEs, go to, if you could afford it, go to the world events in overseas, go to the AI bot summits, go to the masterminds, go to, the webicons, go to everything. Just go ask questions. And every time you finish that, you're going to have a clear vision on how to go, how to move, and what path to take.
Yeah. I like that one a lot. And go with no expectations. People are like, oh, I don't have anything going on yet. I don't know what I'm going to say. It's like, just go in with no expectations. Not everyone starts talking business at these events right away. It's just kind of like you're developing friendships and the business comes later. But that's definitely a good power move. So now we got 10 quick questions before we wrap up here. So favorite food?
Favorite food? I'm just going to say Latin food because, I could be specific niche-wise, like Puerto Rican, Mexican, but I just love all Latin food. So I'd say Latin food.
Okay, that's good enough for me. Best memory?
Best memory? Oh, God.
It's got to be first thing that comes to mind. Like, you might just thought, like, when I was 5, this happened. It's got to be like, boom.
Believe it or not, you think this is kind of like, but the best memory that I still think of is my little girl, my daughter, when she gave me a kiss for the first time. Like when she puckered up her she had little pigtails and she was like 1 year old. She's like that. I can't get, like, seeing her face come towards me and laying it here. It just melted my heart, and I'll never forget it.
That's imprinted. I can get that. Trust me.
Yeah.
If you had another go around, not to say that you have regrets, but what would another story be of your life that you'd like to write in 30 seconds or less?
I wish I would have, if it wasn't for I love this route and I'm happy I'm here and I'm having so much fun. But I would have loved to have pursued music and, of taken it super more serious and found the right people, the right team that could have taken that to the next level. Cause I had the chops and I had the looks back then, right? When I was younger. And I still feel like I owe it to the world. I owe the world that album. Like God gave me this ability and this talent, and for me just to die with it kind of, I don't know. I feel like I got to have something there that even my family could just enjoy when I'm gone, That's art, right? So
I like that. I like the legacy component of art, for no other reason than to leave it behind as a legacy to yourself and your family, right?
And so if my great grandchild, wants to hear great grandpa sing or his voice, they could just play my music, So I need to put that together.
Look, I'll look forward to that, man. Honestly, I think you should do that, and there's never too late. What's the best productivity hack you've ever implemented?
Best productivity hack. I use Rike, those softwares to keep me on top of everything. I was using Trello before, but Rike's way better.
Yeah.
So that definitely kept me on top of everything. But I would honestly say, I have one of these kind of apps on your phone that pretty much lets you schedule out your whole day. It's not. I haven't advanced to the AI version of it yet, but it's pretty much where like on Sunday I'll just at 8 I wake up, I'll make some coffee, I'll go for a walk, and then I'll check my emails, and then I'll do this, and then on this day, and then I'll implement my meetings. So it's like every single like I'm pretty optimized throughout the whole day, and I think once I started doing that, and from the moment I wake up to the moment where I go to bed, I'm productive. There's always something to do, something to follow up on, so it's yeah, just doing that, just taking Sunday and just draft, or taking that night and just drafting out my next day.
Yeah, man.
My next day,
Like that. And I've used all the management boards. So I'd say use any of them and it'll be way ahead of the curve. Now,
Yeah.
next one, do you want to retire? Yes or no? And if you're not retiring, what are you doing in the typical retirement years?
I don't want to retire. I think eventually I would hopefully get to a position where I could be some kind of board advisor or consulting, or be a part of board of advisors for multiple companies, and just and I love talking. As you can see, I've rambled there for almost 8 straight minutes in the very beginning. So I just love, and I just love it. I love the game. I love business. I love talking about this. I mean, again, I've been doing this for 15 years, this is over a third of my life. So it's like I feel like if I don't do this every day, like it's not me, right?
Yeah,
So
I get that.
so I don't know how to stop. Like I just don't. I just love data, love numbers, love the game of creating something that you're proud of, watching it scale, watching it grow, watching your clients happy, watching them refer you to other people, watching your bank account grow. Like it's just like this amazing flow that's happening that I'm digging the ride, and if I ever had to slow down because my body just can't really be carrying 30-pound cameras anymore, I'd say like the whole board of advisors thing, just bird's eye view on your business, what systems you have in place, what can we perfect, who you need to call to get those departments going, and just play that whole game. I mean, I've been so
I like that too, and I think it's just mastering what you like and what you don't, and kind of whittling away at it. And it's a game, right? Like I love it too. This is why I continue to do and find things that I'm passionate about.
yeah.
What's a book that changed your life? There's something that stands out to you there?
The one, like I was very there was a time where I mean, you can see my personality. I'm just like go 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 go. My mind just goes so fast. Like it's so hard for me to even watch a movie these days, just because it just takes too long. I pull out my phone and I'm watching shorts instead. It's just kind of just my wife's like, put the phone away. I'm like, I'm like,
Yeah.
but I'd say the one, because the one kind of broke down exactly on just focus on that one thing. What's the one thing you could do better? And even implementing it in my creatives has been a huge thing. Like if I have 10 ideas for something, well, what's the one that's even better, or which one is even better? And then or even better, or even better. Once I get to that end of the road where I can't think of anything else, so that's the best thing I could possibly do, that's the one we run with. And we've had more success doing that than just kind of just throwing stuff at the wall. And even there you start asking, you go, okay, let's go back another step. Like, what can we do even better? What can we throw this up against? Like, what emails have gone up that crushed it? Can we videofy those? What do we have a call center selling this thing? Like, what's the script that they're using on the phones? Like, what's the one thing? How can we get the script even better and better and better? And just starting from a place of the highest probability of a win, right? Like all data. So that book, on top of just when it came to my personal life of delegating, like the one thing I should really focus on, the things I could delegate, the one thing over here, the one thing over there, the one thing over there. And because I'm an extremist, I'm not much of a balancer. I'm either just completely, I'm doing 36 to 45 hour days and taking a 4-hour nap until I crush through this thing, or, I'm the other way where I'm with my family in Spain on a yacht, right? It's just like two different extremes. Like there's no balance where I'm just kind of, So I crash hard with work, and then I recover hard with family. So that's pretty much where I go.
I've read the book too, and it's always a good reminder to kind of go back to. For me, like books are like I don't do a lot of praying, but I would say the books are kind of like the closest I have to like a belief, because it reinstills that belief factor in you. Because I've got my own conversations going on in my head. I need someone else to kind of pattern interrupt for me.
Yeah.
What do you want to be remembered for?
Remembered for? Honestly, just being a good dude. You know, just being someone that had the heart of a giver, that did his best, that that played the game as well as he can play it, as honorable as he can play it. Some that played it in a way where his grandparents and his kids could be proud of him, kind of thing.
Mm.
You know, that's pretty much it. And I mean, not really looking for a statue or anything. You know, I'm not trying to be any conqueror. I just want to be I don't know. I just want to be surrounded by love and a person that loved back. Right.
Yeah. I like that one too. You've got kids, and so what's a skill that you're trying to teach them at an earlier age, or just you'd recommend everyone develop as early as possible in life to have the most impact?
Chess. Seriously, chess. My son's 5 and my daughter was 7, and I bought them both little boards, and I got a little chart with little pieces, and I have my own piece. I'm a decent chess player. My father taught me when I was a child, so I started teaching them that, and I'm just seeing like their decision makings or them thinking steps ahead. Just I'm seeing it like really develop. Like 6 months later, like now my daughter's even asking me, Daddy, so if you're going here and you're doing this, like why is this happening? And I'm just like, and I know that all that's being developed because of trying to think ahead with the moves, and I like it because it also teaches you discipline, right? It teaches you like there's the opening, there's the middle, and then there's the end game. So it also allows me to apply that to relationships, where who am I going to choose to go long game with, where they're giving me back what I'm feeding in, and it's beautiful. It's the energies are being transferred back and forth. And you can see that there's something growing from the seeds that you both, in the time you both, planted, versus the one that just takes. So it's like, I just go into the opening. If I see all you do is take, then I'm just going to revert back. And that's not the kind of relationship I want. So I'm going to move on. Right. And sometimes you go in the opening and you got to do a little bit of mid game just to kind of find out exactly who you're who it is before you make a, kind of thing. But yeah, so chess is huge. And even with business, like I've played chess with people that I realized I did not want to go into business with. When I saw how aggressive they were and just like the crazy, without being methodical and having a real strategy and setting up their defenses properly and just trying to go in for the kill, and just like, and I just realized, I was like, I don't know. Something tells me that this guy's going to be an issue.
Yeah. Well, listen, that's like one of the most unique answers I've got so far of all the interviews. And the reason I like it for kids, especially, I think, just to put a little stamp on that one, is kids are so dopamine driven right now. It's so like instant gratification that chess, I think, is also a very disciplined game, but it's like a long game approach, right? It's going to teach them about life in that one simple game that they're playing. So that's a really good one. I'm going to talk about it.
Makes them wait for the second donut,
Yeah, man. All right, we're getting back together in a year from today. What are we celebrating?
A year from today, my goal is just to try to get into the real estate game a little bit again. Now that, I'm a little bit more seasoned in this field, and, I want to try to acquire a few properties if I can. That's kind of what I want to, just to branch out a little bit. It's always been a passion of mine. I mean, I got into that career first. It was something I really enjoyed. I just got crushed because of what happened. But I feel like there's, in the times that we're in, something's going to pop. I don't know what's happening, but I'm kind of just on the sidelines. And once that does, hopefully, I mean, I've acquired something.
Yeah.
But just better health. Hopefully I'm gonna attempt a weight loss a journey. So hopefully next year I'll be healthier. Uh, you know, hopefully I add that. My kids will continue to be sweet, loving, and learning more, and a little bit more traveling and understanding, and yeah, just I don't know. I guess we'll be celebrating just victory, right?
Yeah.
Victory and just because man, and I mean, everyone that's had success, they know what the grind is and the struggle in the very beginning. So finally, when you get over that hump, you're just like, I deserve to be here. I'm going to continue to be successful, and just stay focused, kind of thing, right? So I guess that's my motto,
Yeah. I love it. What's a bucket list item you haven't done that's, top of your list?
Bucket list item that I haven't done, top of my list. I want to go to Greece.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't know why, but I've always there's this picture that I see when my friends that go, like the white houses kind of down where the ocean is. Have you seen that picture? Like it's like a very common, very, very popular location where everyone takes a picture there.
Okay.
And I just melt when I see it. Like every time I see that area in my heart, or I don't know if maybe south of France or Italy, just that all those mountains and those little tiny homes and just the ocean. I just want to just spend a few months in one of those places. I don't know, just something. I don't know. I just feel like my heart belongs there. I don't know what it is, but I just want to pack up and go.
Well, there you go. You combine the real estate thing, and like that could be your spot, and different times of the year.
You're right. Oh my God, I never thought of that. And I could just Airbnb when I'm not there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about keeping it in the States, but if I don't want to stay there, then why would I get it? You're right.
Dude, that could be the 1-year celebration too here.
There you go. Yeah. There you go.
Man. Well, listen, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. It was amazing having you, learning from myself too, just selfishly. I learned so much, and I know everyone's going to listen to this. It's Chris at VSLads.com to get in touch with you. And yeah, man, I can't wait to see what you're doing next in the wacky world of VSLs, but everything else you got going on.
I'm excited. Yeah. So Chris at VSLADV.com.
Yeah, man.
Thank you so much. And thanks for having me. It was an honor. It was a pleasure. And this was a lot of fun. I mean, I love talking to you, man. So, if you ever want to just touch base again, I'm down. Part 2.
Oh, don't worry. I'll get you back on, and I'm coming your way at some point. So we're going to have a meetup and maybe do some karaoke or something here.
You know what? When you come over here, we could just do it and I could produce it. Like I could have 2 cameras and get like a nice set, maybe in your hotel room. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. We'll earmark that for another day. But yeah, man, thanks so much. And hopefully everyone here listening got a ton of value from this. VSLs are an amazing traffic source to attract more affiliates to your business and to leverage influencers and just make the whole omni-channel marketing make a lot more sense. So anyways, check them out and we'll see you on the next one. Take care, guys.